My father raised his glass, then pointed at me like I was a roach on his white tablecloth. "This guest doesn't belong anymore." My cousins laughed. My sister clinked her wine glass and said, "Finally." I looked around that long mahogany table, 14 people, all blood. Not one of them blinked, so I smirked. "Then dinner's on your card." And I stood up, not in rage, not in shame. I left my linen napkin folded on the chair, walked past the pianist, down the marble steps, out the revolving door. It was 8:43 p.m. The steak hadn't even been served. I used to believe family was loyalty, that blood meant protection, that even the cruel ones would close ranks when the world turned dark. I was wrong. My parents groomed me for usefulness, not love, not legacy, just service. First it was errands, then childcare, then bookkeeping for Dad's business, free labor under the guise of learning responsibility. My sister, Nadia, was the golden one. She got the praise, the applause, the family savings. I got silence and crumbs. Still, I stayed, because some people confuse endurance for love. The shift happened last spring. Mom had surgery. I drove her to every appointment, took time off work, slept in hospital chairs. Nadia flew in for a weekend and left with credit for being so present. At dinner 2 weeks later, my dad pulled me aside. "You've been overstepping. This family doesn't need fixing, just obedience." Obedience? That word lodged in my ribs. I started watching. I noticed how expenses from Mom's medical bills were siphoned through my name. Fraud, buried in health insurance paperwork. Nadia knew. She was the one who logged into my account and consolidated them. That's when I stopped waiting for an apology and started planning. I didn't confront them. That's what they expected. Emotions, outbursts, drama. Instead, I smiled, kept showing up, played dumb. Meanwhile, I consulted a forensic accountant. I filed a quiet report with the insurance fraud unit. I contacted the restaurant hosting Mom's birthday 2 months in advance, booked it under my name, paid the deposit, gave the maitre d' a very specific instruction. When the final bill is ready, deliver it to Mr. and Mrs. Ozra's table. I will not be covering it. The night of the dinner, I wore black silk and a red lip, sat at the center, not the edge. I toasted first, to family. May we always show our true colors. They laughed. I didn't. 30 minutes after I left, the maitre d' returned to the table. He placed the bill, $2,800, between my father and sister. Silence. The wine had stopped flowing. Nadia reached for her clutch. My father stopped her. My mother asked the waiter to try me again. They called me 6 times in 20 minutes. I let it ring. At 9:15, Nadia texted, "Are you serious right now?" At 9:22, my father messaged, "This is humiliating. You're paying this." I replied with a photo, a printout of their forged documents, the ones now filed with the state, the ones tied to an open investigation. Underneath, I wrote, "Consider it a tip." 3 weeks later, the auditors froze the family business account. My father's assets were flagged for investigation. My sister's job at the investment firm? Gone. Conflict of interest. They showed up at my apartment, together, for the first time in years. Dad didn't yell. Mom didn't cry. Nadia didn't smirk. They just stood in my hallway, smaller than I remembered. "We didn't think you'd go this far," my father said. "I didn't think you'd sell me out," I replied. He looked away. "You wanted independence," Nadia mumbled. I stepped aside and pointed to the elevator. "You wanted me gone? Now you have it." They've been quiet since. No lawsuits, no birthday cards, no more pretending. And I've never felt freer. Sometimes people say revenge is messy, but I disagree. Justice is precise. Calculated, cold when it needs to be. I didn't burn the bridge, I just made sure I'd never be forced to cross it again. This year, I booked a small rooftop table, 3 guests, real friends. We toasted under string lights and laughed like people who choose each other. The wine? On my card. Every drop worth it.